Good evening, sir. May I come in, sir?
Come. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Please take a seat.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So you are currently, what are you doing currently?
So I was allotted the IRMS service last year, sir. Then I took 1 year EOL, sir.
Okay. And you are, you resigned from the army.
Yes, sir.
So now you are on leave.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So tell me, what are the major changes which army is kind of affecting? I think some command structure is being changed. What are those changes and what is the intent?
So one of the most recent ones that has happened, sir, there is an area in Bareilly, sir. So that is now being converted to a proper corps headquarters, sir. So area in itself is supposed to be a logistics for the logistic maintenance and as a provider of the logistic services. But now it is being upgraded to a complete full-fledged corps. So it is keeping in view the threat perception of China, sir. That is one thing, sir. Otherwise, what is happening is in terms of the inter-service camaraderie, sir, and inter-service operational, the more camaraderie in the operational roles. We are trying to have commands where it is called the IBG, sir, Integrated Battle Groups, in which we'll have all the arms plus the Air Force and the Navy wherever required as one unit where they'll fight under the single command, sir.
So who will be kind of commanding this group IBG?
So it will be depending upon where it is deployed. Suppose it is deployed in the seas, it will be commanded by a naval officer. And if it is in the land, the army is the dominant part, then by an army officer.
What is actually, China has been kind of, they have put people in the villages, about in 600 villages they have constructed those houses and now they have inhabited them. What do you think is their plan, and what is our plan to kind of tackle that?
So first thing, why China is doing it, sir? It has a psychological role that the forward areas, they are being populated by their population. Second thing is it also serves a strategic purpose in terms of having the intelligence, sir, because the local population can easily be a source of intelligence to the troops, where in forward areas, if you're not having proper troops, then they can also act as the source of intelligence. And as far as our response to it is concerned, sir, we are also having similar programs, like one which comes to my mind is the Vibrant Village program, in which we are building up the infrastructure and we are trying to habitat people of our country in the border areas.
And in China's border with Nepal, in Bhutan, they have recently, there also they have occupied some, whatever the houses they have made. I think they are fairly good accommodations. They have been. So do you think that's symbolic of something more which China is planning in that area?
So it is just a continuation of the aggressive foreign policy, the war for diplomacy also, and also the aggressive foreign policy stance that it is taking. And when it comes to Bhutan, sir, especially two areas which come to the mind. One was Doklam, sir, which was in conflict in 16, and then there was a Sakteng Wildlife Sanctuary, sir. Both of them have been under threat by the Chinese, sir. So our presence there, in terms of the Imtrat vision that we have, it is a very important place for us.
But Bhutan is negotiating with China directly now.
Sir.
So isn't that something which is an adverse development from our perspective?
In a way, sir, it is an adverse development, but we have to be very careful in the way this approach that we take in dealing with Bhutan, because as we experience with Maldives or with Nepal, if we adopt a big brotherly approach, then it might backfire. So we have to give them the leeway, but at the same time, we have to make sure that our strategic interests are also met, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sir.
No, Abhinandan,
sir.
You can see that your address is behind SBI Akhnuk.
Sir.
What are the three parameters on which a bank is evaluated?
So first that comes to my mind is the financial prudence when it comes to the financial management of the bank. Second is the customer base, sir. If I am the manager of the bank or I am the boss of the bank, then it is my duty to ensure that
Customer base as
in terms of the number of customers, new customers that we add. And the third thing is the customer serviceability and the grievance redressal, sir. These are the three parameters.
Parameters, banking ratios.
Sir, if we are talking about the banking ratio, sir, first is of course the total capital, sir. Then is the interest rate, sir. For example, if we talk about the what is the rate of interest or the repo rate that is going on with the market.
Repo rate is RBI.
Sir.
Talking about a bank, a commercial scheduled bank.
Sir, I'm not able to exactly phrase that, sir.
Okay. Now, what are the main drivers of India's foreign policy? What has enabled India to start playing a much more aggressive role on the international front?
So first thing that comes to my mind is, of course, the foreign policy of India has, over a period of time, evolved into a more pragmatic approach. It is not that earlier we were not pragmatic, but of late, if we see, we have been able to balance the opposite poles, like we have been able to balance US and Russia. And why we have been able to do it is because of multiple reasons. Because the world as a whole, if we see the world in one parlance, then earlier we had just two poles, like US and Russia. Now we are moving towards a multilateral system. So automatically when we talk about the multilateral system, because of the rising clout of India, both strategically as well as the economic might, as we are just about to be the third largest economy by 27. So these are some factors which come to
Are
mind.
we attributing too much to our own strength at the expense of the overall geopolitical developments?
So I did not get the question, please, sir.
Earlier, Pakistan was very strategic to USA.
Sir.
It's no longer strategic to US, not because of India's strength, but because of geopolitical developments.
Sir.
You got my point now?
Yes, sir. So it has to do because US has also adopted a little different policy as compared to what.
Why is Pakistan no longer strategic to US interests?
So it is not just with Pakistan. US has.
No. Pakistan specifically, I'm asking.
Sir, just in a broader context, the entire Middle East, the policy which US was earlier adopting, now they have just backtracked.
Why don't you answer my question?
Sir.
Why is Pakistan no longer strategic to US?
I am unable to relate
Afghanistan.
that. Sir, Afghanistan is the possible reason, sir. Because
Afghanistan is the reason.
Sir.
One of the major reasons why Pakistan is no longer strategic to.
Sir.
Okay. Now, there is a school of thought which believes that centralization tendencies are increasing in our country. Can you comment on that?
It has been generally believed, sir, that centralizing tendencies are increasing. For example, if we take the recent government, the central government's plan about one nation, one election plan, that is one thing. 2017 GST was implemented.
One nation, one election is a centralization tendency.
In a way, it is, sir.
Okay,
Sir.
we'll grant you that.
Sir. Second, if we take the context of last 15-20 years, GST is one thing that comes to my mind. GST was taken as one of the things which gives greater power.
But we have the GST Council where all the states are represented.
Yes, they are
and
represented.
And 2/3 vote for passage of any bill.
Yes, but giving 1/3 to the center, that is being considered as something a little tilt towards the centralizing tendency. So other thing is the role of governors, sir, the office of the governors, which we have of late seen that sometimes it is being misused. So these are certain tendencies.
In what way is the role of the governor being misused?
So suppose,
which is a very important hindrance to a state functioning.
So some states that come to my mind are Tamil Nadu, Punjab. What has happened is there is a little tussle going on between the state governments and the governors. There may be certain actual on-ground issues which might be there, but it is
a specific manner in which effective functioning is being hampered.
Sir. Suppose, sir, a bill is passed by the Tamil Nadu for taking the.
No, you've used the right word.
Sir.
Now, in what way has abrogation of Articles 370 benefited the country and the people of J&K?
So first, I'll talk about the people of Jammu and Kashmir. The psychological thing about the Jammu and Kashmir and the constitution being different, that is now gone. Psychologically also there is a greater integration. I had the opportunity and privilege of going to Kashmir, Srinagar last year, sir, and the Lal Chowk, which was historically considered to be a very vulnerable place, At midnight, even if you go to there at midnight, it is very active. People are freely moving around. So that way the integration is seen on the ground. In terms of the overall investment culture and the overall developmental projects, we can see there is a lot of changes, positive changes that are happening.
Why have the positive changes happened to development and investment culture?
So it is because for any businesses or to set up or for development to take place, we need prolonged period of peace where the terror activities or the internal turmoil, internal disturbances are
But
not
how
there.
is peace and lessening of terror activities linked to abrogation of 370?
It is a direct outcome of it. They are very complexity. There is a complex relation between the two when it comes to especially the Kashmir Valley. 370 was considered one of the hindrances towards the exact integration of India with the state of Jammu and Kashmir. And even when we saw the response of Pakistan also, sir. So it proved the point that 370 had some role to play. But once that was removed.
What exactly were the contours of Article 370?
So 370 did basically mention about that there were certain provisions, barring those provisions like the police, like the there were certain things which was dedicatedly under the state control. Other than that, which were under the parliament control. Other than that, everything was to be done in accordance with the process which takes place in the state assemblies. Some of the parameters like communication, defense and security, they were under the central government. Barring that, if anything was to be extended to the state of Jammu and Kashmir, it had to be ratified by the state assembly, sir.
Good. Thank you, Abhinandan.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Abhinandan. So you have not joined IRMS, but still you have some idea about the
Sir.
transportation sector.
Sir.
So is there any difference between these RRTS and the Delhi Metro? Or what is the difference?
RRTS, sir.
So you are not aware about the RRTS,
No, sir.
Rapid Rail Transport System.
Sir.
Whether it comes under the Indian Railway or is some other agency looks after this?
It is under the overall control of the Indian Railways, sir.
Are you sure?
Sir.
Okay. Then what is the role of NCRTC, National Capital Region Transport Corporation?
I'm not sure, sir.
So Delhi Metro also under the Indian Railways?
No, sir. It is a separate body, sir.
So similarly NCR, if it is the urban issue,
Sir.
the purpose to have a very quick shifting the traffic from the road to rail.
Sir.
So this is the whole purpose. So since you don't have much idea, is there any difference between the bullet train and the metro?
So the thing that comes to my mind is with respect to the type of coaches, sir. There are different coaches in the metro and the bullet trains. Bullet trains are the advanced version of the LHF, that is the Linkman-Hoff.
Okay.
Sir.
So tell me something about territorial army. Whether it is a part of the regular army?
It's not exactly a part of the regular army, sir. But there are some units in which the officers, especially the officer rank, has the option of serving just like the regular
Can
forces.
territorial army go to war?
Yes,
Participate?
sir. They are considered as the reserve, sir. But if required, they'll definitely be.
So tomorrow, after joining civil services, can we participate in the territorial army?
Yes, sir. It can be done, sir.
What is the purpose of having such scheme?
So territorial army is actually a kind of reserve army, sir. When the main army goes for the battle, and it acts as a reserve for the protection of the installments that will be left behind, sir.
What is ecological task force?
So ecological task force is a specially mandated task force which is designed to protect the ecology of designated areas. In concerning the territorial armies also, sir, there are certain battalions called eco-TA battalions, sir.
Okay, what is the purpose of having such units, specialized units within army?
Sir, the purpose is to make sure they will be designated certain areas. For example, my last unit when I was posted, sir, I was fortunate enough to be attached to one of the territorial army units.
Which ATF you were attached?
It was 157 TA in Samba, sir. So I was attached to the mess. And their task was, they were mandated some near the Mansar Lake is there, sir. They had a specially designated forest area, so they were required to carry out the plantation drives there, sir. And also the fencing of the designated areas, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Abhinandan.
Ma'am.
I'm actually curious, this IRMS, you have not qualified through UPSC.
Through UPSC, ma'am. Last year I was, I had
But
740.
you have mentioned no in this, this column here, that have you ever been allotted any service?
Ma'am, actually, when the DAF was filled, it did not have the option because that time service allocation was not done.
Okay.
Recently, the service allocation option was given to be updated, and that has been updated, ma'am.
Okay, right. Okay. What is your opinion about the Agniveer scheme?
Ma'am, Agniveer scheme is a very well thought out. The overall aim of the Agniveer scheme is a very well thought out scheme. But if you ask about my individual perception, or individual opinion, there could have been a little. For example, present condition is that 25% of the soldiers will be retained and 75% will be retired. So if that proportion could have been 50-50 or even 75-25 on the other side, because on ground what it is felt, my personal experience says that once you join a particular unit, by the time, earlier what was the issue, we used to get the troops in the unit after 2 years of training. And once they come to the unit, they'll take 2-3 years to familiarize themselves and get acquainted with the processes. But now what has happened, the training period has been reduced to 6 months. And because the overall tenure will be 4 years. So by the time they are actually gain some kind of expertise, so they will be on their way out. And that way is over a period of time, if we see the long-term picture. So most of
But there has been a great concern about the loyalty of such, even the force which is retained, there'll be a lot of bitterness because there's a hell lot of competition, and when people would be fighting the soldiers would be fighting among themselves to earn a slot in the 25%. So somehow there has been an apprehension that the loyalty would be a casualty in this. What is your opinion?
Ma'am, I don't think loyalty will be under question, because army has an environment in which the discipline can be ensured in ways in which people are actually.
The camaraderie among the troops, morale, when you are just competing and you have got this bitterness, rivalry among yourselves, and then suddenly you are sent to the war front. I don't know how the camaraderie would come into play.
My personal opinion is camaraderie may not be affected, because camaraderie is something which is imbibed day in and day out the moment we stay with the troops. Because army has a culture in which each individual is a part of the team, and it is actually felt on ground also. The main concern that I have is with respect to the fact that expertise, somewhere we are training them for 4 years and then we'll be sending them out.
6 months training period is too short?
In a way, yes, ma'am. For the military, because earlier, like I was in the Corps of Signals. So earlier what used to happen, 6 months was the only basic military training in which they'll be taught about the weapon training and about the physical standards. Post that 6 months of training, they will be given their trade training. For example, I was in Signals. Signals has a lot of trades, like mechanics is there, TTC is there. So the 1.5 year after the basic military training was about learning those skills. But now with the training being curtailed only to 6 months, so practically they will be learning those skills in the unit. So the training centers were designed in such a way historically that the technical skills were imparted and then it was implemented in the units.
Okay, what have been the learnings from the current Russia-Ukraine? It has ended the 3rd year from army point of view, and even from the Israel-Hamas conflict. Can you tell me what have been the learnings for Indian Army?
So Indian Army, first of all, the biggest learning is the traditional warfare will not be very comfortable in the future days or even now, because it was seen that drone attacks, with the application of drones, the enemy tanks were targeted with very comfort without even harming one soldiers of the army.
That's
so
one thing.
that is one thing. The other thing is with respect to planning, because Russia somewhere miscalculated what was to be done, because Russia is such a huge country when it comes to area, when it comes to the military strength and the resources. But somehow the war has lingered on for 3 years. So somewhere the planning part has gone for maybe that's not been
So you shouldn't underestimate the enemy.
Absolutely, ma'am. And the third thing is, because the most important which I feel is the global repercussions of war. We cannot undermine that the enemy might get support from the like-minded countries. So that is third thing that I think we'll need to focus upon, because
my last set of questions, Rasayana dialogue is going on.
Ma'am.
What is this all about?
Ma'am, it is a geopolitical dialogue. It is it is hosted by India, and it gives us the opportunity to discuss the issues specific to the Indo-Pacific, in which we are the center force. Not in terms of what the China thinks in similar way, but we take everybody along. It is
And since when it is happening?
If I'm not wrong, 2015 it started, ma'am.
16.
Ma'am.
Okay. And are there any other forums just like this?
There is similar form. I think it's a Shangri-La dialogue. Yes, ma'am.
Where it happens?
Shangri-La dialogue initially happened in one of the hotels in Singapore, ma'am, and now it is happening in different countries.
Are you sure? Different countries, or is it
I think
hosted by Singapore now?
I think it happens in either Singapore or China. I'm confused between the two. Ma'am.
Any other?
Similar, if we see the concepts, there are a lot of local forums like the summits which take place, though not
No, just recently another one was concluded.
not that I'm aware.
Munich.
Munich Security Conference was
What has been the theme of this year, Asana?
not aware, ma'am.
Which is a chief guest country?
In the regional dialogue, ma'am?
Hmm.
I'm not aware, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So,
Thank you, ma'am.
Just want to ask one question.
Sir,
In the context of this Russia-Ukraine thing, our most probable opponents are Pakistan and China.
ma'am, sorry. Sir,
What do you think would be Russia's position in the scenario of a Indo-China tension?
it is a very complex situation because earlier the relations between China and Pakistan were not that good. But if we see today, sir, China is close to Russia, Pakistan is close to Russia. So it will be a very difficult call to take right now because the circumstances as it exists today, we are largely dependent upon a lot of defense resources on Russia. So I think that thing will continue, but directly Russia will not support us.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay then, thank you very much. And we will, when is your interview?
28th Feb, sir. 28th.
28th Feb.
Sir.
Okay. So you please wait outside, we'll consult and then give you a feedback.
Right, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
28th Feb.